Last 12 months, we've done over 5,000 people that we've been able to provide assistance to. So for me, that's fantastic. I'm very passionate about it. The people I work with know that, and I think everyone in their roles, and certainly what we've heard tonight, they're also passionate about what we do. So really glad to be part of it. So some things for me, and hopefully out of, say those, if it was 5,000 people that we rescued, if we can, or if you can, facilitate us to do 5,001, that one more person is obviously a massive gain and what I would consider a win. If we can just help one more person, that one more person could be a relative of the person beside you. It could be someone you know, that type of thing. I'm one of those sort of people that you sort of sit and go, you don't think it's ever going to happen, and then next thing you know, your friend is being picked up from wherever it is. We live and we travel a lot. So for me, we expose ourselves to the risk of an injury, whether it be on the roadside, whether it be at a farm, visiting friends, falling down the stairs. Some of the accidents that we go to are very, you would look at it and go, how does that happen? Certain things, and I know when our first patient, when, what was the app where they all followed that we went through that craze, Pokemon? Yeah, so we went, within a day, we went to our first Pokemon accident where someone's gone off an edge and fallen 7 feet. Off a wall because they haven't been sort of watching, and that was sort of out there, so a little bit funny, and yeah. But that person's obviously come out. It ended up just being some damage that was able to recover from, so it was only limited. But that's the sort of stuff. So you're sort of looking at these accidents can be very harmless. Falling off a ladder, changing a light bulb, those sort of things where people just think, I'm going about my day-to-day business, and they're the sort of people we hear about afterwards. And it's always nice when you hear those sort of good news stories after the event. That you can sort of sit and go, okay, well, hopefully we've been able to make a difference. For me, where I see this benefiting us is very much around the before we get to taking the flight mostly. Our crew are, like I said, highly skilled. We've got great aircraft. We've got the equipment. We've got that type of thing. And once we get the call, we know what to do, how to get to the person, the medical side of it, and getting them back to the hospital. We've sort of got that down pat. What we don't have down pat is, for me, being available for every phone call that comes in. So if you think about even maintenance is just standard. We have to do it. The helicopter flies, you've got to maintain it. So for every hour it flies, there's about sort of 45 minutes of maintenance that's associated with it. So there's sort of, you never want them as a car, and I would not say, it's like buying a boat, so stay away from buying planes or helicopters, the amount of money that's involved in it. But for me, you've got to maintain it because you fly it. What happens then is we're offline to fix it. So the idea is all of a sudden, and we only have to be offline, say, an hour. So if your phone call comes in that hour, what happens? Yes, we've got a network. Yes, there is 12 bases throughout the state that, 5 of ours, and there's others that are throughout Queensland. So there's always a network, and the network supports each other. But my aim is to increase our availability. So for me, everything I do and everything I do with a team is about how can we always be available for every phone call that comes in, for every accident, for every incident, for every patient movement. So for me, everything's about, and like I said, one more person, that's it. That is achieved something. We have kicked a massive goal for me to be able to go, okay, next year's 5,001 people, so that's the sort of thing I'm after. So really hope we can get something from that. And like I said, really it challenges out there as far as I'm concerned to look at how I can increase availability at bases, how I can be, as an ops manager type, managing our people better. How can we roster better? How can we, instead of going offline at 8 a.m, when we sort of knew how we were flying and the rate of effort we were flying, we knew it was going to go offline after. We've got set periods. We've got, and after speaking with Lyndon a lot, there's some really good, we've got prescriptive limits and things like that, which are great for this type of thing because it's a known, you can't do more than that, and you can just plug that in as far as, 8 hours, that's it, you have to stop. So for me, it's about how do I, say, move my maintenance, or is it a better idea to do more maintenance at 6 in the morning because we've only ever got 2 phone calls out of our 5 bases between the hours of 7 and 8 in the morning or something like that. So really I'm just looking at options about how we can. And before I continue talking any longer, it's just about getting Nigel and Angeline to help me and talk through some of those I guess, problems that we encounter and how we can overall improve and maybe save one more person in the next 12 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. But everything's about just one more person.
We've got a couple of problems. I'll talk about the first two, Angeline. We'll talk about the second one. What I'm interested in is high-efficiency patient routing. What we do is we move patients all around Queensland. Every day of the world, people need to move to the required level of care. We move them on a King Air. And the problem with a King Air is that when you have a stretcher in there, you have very limited room. So I'm able to move 1 or 2 patients in a plane at a time, and I have patients all around Queensland. The red ugly dots are our bases, a section of our bases that are dealing with fixed wing. You can see where all the patients need to move. And so in moving these patients, I've got to do sectors. And a sector might be like Brisbane to Rockhampton, Hervey Bay to Brisbane, or something that we see a lot of like Townsville to, Mackay to Brisbane to Mackay to Townsville. So they're doing these little jobs. They'll pick someone up, they'll take them to where they need to. When they get to where they need to go, they'll pick someone up there, they'll take them back. And so it's this little tiny piecemeal stuff. We're moving, about 40 patients a day. We've got 8 bases, 12 aircraft, and there's 19 shifts. So you've got multiple shifts per day that we're needing to move people with. We've got 1 to 4 patients per sector, flying maybe about 75 sectors a day and 20,000 kilometers every day of the world. Then I have some constraints. If you're a priority 1, if you smash on the side of a road in the middle of nowhere, we have an hour to get our wheels up to get to you. If you are in that accident, that would be a good thing. If you're a priority 2, you get 3 hours, 4, 3, 6 hours, and 4 is 24 hours to get to you. Some people just are not feeling well, and they want to move them to a better level of care, so there's more time. We want to move people in the shortest distance. It's pointless, sometimes if we'll do inefficient routing, and there are some reasons. We have shift times. Some shifts run 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., some shifts run 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Aircraft, they have different speeds, they have different ranges, have different weight capacity. The seating capacity is configurable. We might take 3 seats, 1 stretcher, 2 stretchers, 1 seat. So what we get is our DTO in the morning, they'll have all of these patients, and they will look to see where are our bases, where are the patients, where do they need to go to, who needs to go where, and what order they need to go, and they just do it all manually. And then once they've done that, I'll get a priority 1, and then that means that this route here has to be hacked in half, and I've got to get to that patient first, and I've got to drive all of these people and drop them on a different plane and rearrange the whole world. And so, like, a manifest which shows who's flying where, that will change 4 times in a day. And then we have significant manual decision. Is a patient infectious? If a patient is infectious, then another patient can't go on unless that patient has the same infection. Do I need a doctor? Is someone so serious that they need a doctor? If I need a doctor, then I've got to kick a passenger off, or I've got to kick a patient off. Do I need to take a passenger, someone who's a nursing student, something like that? Do I need a neonatal tool? Where am I going to pick them up? Do I need to get fuel? Where am I getting fuel? And they do this all manually every day of the world. You need to thank God for them. The goal is assist in the efficient allocation of patients to aircraft. Suggestions. You could do some kind of least cost routing thing. The challenge with that is there's a lot of manual decisions like you saw that come in. As I've talked to the guys, I let's get into AWS and do least cost routing and Yahoo. But there's a lot of little pieces that go in there that you can't plug into a database. I've got a bunch of data for you. It's all wonderful and happy. Another solution might be to make us the drag and drop thing. Got all the bases, got all the aircraft, got all the routes, got the patients, where the patients are, drag and drop. Let me just whirl around with that. That'd be great. Or your own brilliant solution. Then the other thing that Lyndon had is, it's important to us. A chopper, expensive, very expensive. When you're running a chopper, man, it burns fuel. It just sucks money like crazy. So when we bill, we do jobs for Queensland and we bill them. We're underfunded. We're poor underfunded people. So the government gives us a certain amount of money, and we will run, but that doesn't fund all of our operations. But we do build them, and accurate billing and getting data about when we take off and when we land is very important. So Linda was looking at capturing images, telling his image software what a chopper is, and to be able to look at when it takes off and lands. So he was having fun with that. We do have some other data streams around that, but he was having a lot of fun with that.
Hi, I'm Angeline. I'm the Data and Reporting Officer at LifeFlight. So basically what I do every day, I'll look at all the missions that we perform the day before. So the data set that you are getting is every single missions that we perform on all our different bases. So it's pretty detailed, and we have for the past 2 years of data there. So what I'm looking at is possibility of matching the number of missions that we have versus other kind of data like weather or the seasonal calendar, because I do observe that there are certain trends that on certain months we do get very busy, like last month, and then there are months, this month we are pretty quiet, and I think the reason is because of the weather. When it's in Brisbane, the weather is like this. Just imagine how bad it was in Toowoomba. So we had to decline a lot of tasks, and as a result, we perform fewer missions. So it would be great if you can help us to get some external data on weather or anything else, and then let us know on which months that it's busier, which month is quieter, and then so we can probably do better planning in our rostering. And speaking of rostering, our current pilot shift is from 0800 to 1800, and the night shift starts at 1800 and ends at 0800. So I think Gus is also looking at whether this shift is efficient. So based on the number of missions, maybe it's late at night, we are pretty busy, so it might be better to shift the end time to 6 a.m. so that, because pilots do have fatigue, they can work continuously throughout their shift, so they need to get some rest. So it maybe so Gus is looking at whether there'll be a better way of shifting the shifts that we have. And also there will be, in the data set that you'll be getting, there'll be the pickup locations, the sending hospitals and the receiving hospitals. So we would like to have some geo-analysis based on that, based on the locations of the places, and then we can see which areas that we pick up a lot of patients. And there are some categories on what kind of summary of the task that they perform. Is it a cardiac condition, or is it ICU case? So based on that, then we know maybe in this area they don't have a lot of cardiac facility. That's why they have to move them to Brisbane to get better care. And other than that, I'm happy for you guys to come up with other brilliant things.